Alright, here's a good old view at the Atlantic Basin right now. You can see down here we have Invest 92L. That is, of course, our 60% chance of development. You can see on the National Hurricane Center, Invest 92L is actually located due south of the Cabo Verde Islands, so probably around here at this stage, even though the center of circulation looks to be around here. But you can see there is a nice swirl starting to develop, so it's definitely got that possibility to develop. And if it does keep up this trend, it could actually be having its chances hiked. It just has to get through this sort of area here. The further north the storm goes, the more drier it will encounter, and of course the worse the sea surface temperatures for the storm will be. And then disturbance number 2 over here, I'll show you that on the National Hurricane Center. This is a weaker one, 0-20% chance. It's not really expected to develop at this stage. I think the National Hurricane Center are just waiting for it to lose convection so it can bump its chances down, but you can see it is still producing those disorganized showers. I think the center is about here. It seems to have a very slight swirl to it. Maybe that westerly flow is a little bit stronger on the northern side and a little bit weaker on the southern side, but it's not really likely to develop at this stage. Alright, now everyone's been waiting for this, the model run for the Atlantic right now, so we're starting at 6 hours. You can see our two little areas of swirl right here. Here's our disturbance number 2, so that's a lower chance down here, and disturbance number 1, Invest 92L over here. And you can see there are areas that look to be trying to develop. You can see this little area over there. That's more of a mid-level swirl, but again, if that does develop a lower-level swirl or something like that, which it does look to be doing in all fairness, I reckon that's a fair chance there. Maybe the National Hurricane Center will post that in the next advisory. Let me know in the comments. But you've got this sort of storm here south of the Cabo Verde Islands. It actually does develop, and in fact another storm here tends to get a low pressure center as well, but that is very short-lived. And it looks like that does maintain tropical depression status for a little bit, then loses it and dies off. Maybe it gets absorbed into this area here, which could actually be disturbance number 2. Not really sure at this stage. It's really one massive area of low pressure, a bit of slop actually. And you can see a little area of low pressure up here actually does develop into something subtropical. That's definitely not tropical at this stage, and it's more frontal, but again, will be interesting to watch, and we will keep an eye on it. Now, if we go towards the end of the runs, nothing really happening until the 240-hour mark. Previous GFS runs have been showing storms cruising through the Caribbean at this stage, and more later runs have been showing a massive storm through this area here. Again, that's probably not likely at this stage, but if you take the run right through to its absolute end, hour 288, again, not really much, but another powerful tropical wave moving off the coast of Africa, so the latest runs might be showing something there towards the end of it. Unfortunately, my time zone does not allow the GFS to load all the way in, but we will take a look at a previous run. This is 12Z run. You can see that a storm actually does get its act together in the Caribbean. Now, if I was to take the run forward to the 18Z at 312 hours, that's not going to work. I'll take it forward at 282 hours. You can see that it basically is identical amounts of convection in the Caribbean Sea. So that will be interesting to see if that does develop there. And then it seems to make a landfall as a tropical storm. And then, what's that? A bit of rapid intensification there. That could actually really get its act together and develop into something juicy there. Now, I know the 0Z run also had something very interesting in the Gulf of Mexico. Look at that. That's probably approaching hurricane status. 988 millibars is a landfall, and another storm up there. So previous runs have been showing a lot of activity. It seems like some runs have been hot and cold. You tend to get a run that shows a lot of activity, and then a run that shows no activity. It seems like the 18Z is always a run that shows no activity, so I hope that that's a run that sticks. Look at this storm up here. That's another little potential storm there. Probably no more than a tropical storm. Gulfstream Cruiser. You'd think we'd be done with those, but no, not yet. 2021 has other plans. Okay. Mid-level humidity, this is a very important one when looking at storm development. You can see up here a little area of swirl that we have on the IHS satellite imagery at around 30 degrees north. That is actually in a fairly favourable mid-level environment. If you play it through, it still is in there for around 24 hours or so. So if that storm does want to develop, it has some fairly decent conditions to do it. And there is a low wind shear pocket there as well. That's why there is convection firing quite high. And you see this sort of area here, very, very favourable in the main development region, but a lot of Saharan dust through here. So that's definitely not going to be helping the storms at all. You can see that the dry air really does seep into these storms, so it's only got about 72 hours until that dry air becomes a real problem for these systems. But good moist air moving into the Caribbean, so there is favourable areas. It's just still a bit too dry in the Atlantic Basin at this time, which is definitely what you'd expect at this time of the year. And then if you go straight into hour 244, Caribbean is favourable and ready to fire for tropical storms, and a powerful tropical wave moving off the coast of Africa. So I reckon the 300s, the long range, will be showing something fairly juicy, but again, long range is incredibly unreliable. Alright, mid-level swell, this is a 500 millibar cyclonic vorticity run. You can see we've got that mid-level swell through there. It's not very concentrated or anything, but it is a swell nonetheless. You can see a little trough sort of thing here. It's a bit of a trough axis actually, some concentrated rotation down here and some concentrated rotation through here. So honestly, that isn't looking too bad from this point of view. It seems like something tries and gets a go on there, maybe some thunderstorms through there, but nothing really seems to stick in this run, which is interesting and, well, I would say what we'd expect, because this would be quite an unfavourable environment for these storms to develop. Another storm sort of popping off the Gulf Stream states there, the eastern seaboard, and a powerful tropical wave there with a decent swell. So this will be very interesting to see. Let's take a look at sea surface temperatures. Need I say much more? Very, very, very warm now in the Gulf of Mexico, where that hurricane actually was expected to be. You get a 5-knot shear environment on these sea surface temperatures. You'd be looking storms to the strength of sort of Katrina, Rita, very, very powerful Gulf of Mexico storms that come to mind pretty much instantly. This would be a very scary scenario to get a zero shear environment in, because if anything does try and get a hold of there, that would be catastrophic indeed. And I'm being very, very serious here. This is absolutely no joke. I'm not being any form of weenie here. That's some serious sea surface temperatures. Also, the main development region, very, very warm indeed. It's just this little cool pocket here that is going to be inhibiting storms until this thing really does patch out. We should be seeing the 26-degree isotherm out towards sort of this area, but there's only 26-degree pockets in here, and in places, especially down here, even cooler. Caribbean's not doing too good, but again, still ready to fire. The Bahamas, very, very warm, and the Gulf Stream, incredibly warm as well. Let's pan over to the Eastern Pacific, take a look at what's going on over here. Again, very, very warm, where these major hurricanes are going to sweep through the Socorro, about 28, 29 degrees Celsius in pockets, off the coast of Mexico, up to 30 degrees Celsius in pockets, so incredibly warm indeed. Let's take a look at the Eastern Pacific National Hurricane Center forecast. You've got Jemina, that's the name, dying off here. They've just discontinued the advisories on, what's its name, Hilda, which is good because that was slop. And then we have Invest 92E over here, 20/70 chance, and it is starting to organise a little bit, and we could be seeing a depression early next week. And then at a 0-20% chance here, with which the National Hurricane Center has marked, and rightfully so. And we could be seeing some rapid intensification out of that one. Now, let's go and take a look at, well, not the Atlantic, let's go and take a look at the GFS Eastern Pacific runs, because they are showing some very, very juicy activity indeed. So you can see remnants of Jemina and Hilda dying off. They're going to be absolutely nothing, so we're not even going to touch on those. And then what we've got over here, another tropical storm through this area. I forget the name of the storm, but we do have another tropical storm threat here. This one's going to be massive, and it's going to really, really struggle to develop. So I don't have faith in that one getting past tropical storm status, whereas some of the models do. GFS is not one of those. And then you see another strong storm start to develop behind it, and this one's a scary one. Look at how fast that thing intensifies, and a very powerful storm as well, 949 millibars. That would be approaching Category 4 status, and annular as well. And then the next runs as well, showing another large system, probably won't take a good hold on that one. Alright, water vapor imagery is, of course, very, very important. Mid-level humidity, rather, not water vapor imagery. You can see that where these storms are going to be developing, it is a very favourable environment indeed. Lots of moist air for these storms to enjoy. There's not much dry air in the vicinity at all, especially this one here. Although you might get a bit of a dry air slot move through here. It seems like it will disconnect itself from that. And then look at that. That will be the perfect annular storm. If we got a Category 5 at that latitude, not only would that be amazing, that would be super photogenic. That would be thumbnail sort of stuff. And then again, this storm, he seems to have a little bit of a problem with dry air, but not too big of an issue at this stage, I'd say. And on that note, that basically does it for it. I'll go and take a look at an earlier run, the 12Z run, just before we do pack it up, so we can actually see what the latest runs are actually saying. It seems like not too much in the way of more strong activity, but again, we could be seeing some strong storms move here. So what's that? 4 hurricanes moving through the Eastern Pacific Basin in the next week. That is quite a lot. And on that note, that is all that I have time for. If you did enjoy the video, show support by leaving a like. If you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing. That's all from me, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.